Okay, so if and okay in the bedroom, what is not allowed in the bedroom for a Christian married couple? When you say you're talking about,
Yes.
why is that not okay?
Do I really need to answer that?
What type of sex is allowed in a Christian marriage? Because the big thing is a lot of people think that as Christians, sex sucks. Not because there's actually sucking going on, but because it's boring. But that isn't accurate at all.
Right.
Matter of fact, sex in Christian marriage should be the best sex out there. But people think that Christians are prudes. I want you to share your story on that.
Yeah. So how old were we when we got married?
23.
We were 23.
Almost 24.
Yeah. And so prior to that, before giving our lives to the Lord, like we were sleeping together, right? We were doing all the things we weren't supposed to be doing. And then we got engaged, and I told this story to somebody the other day, and apparently like lingerie parties aren't necessarily like a thing everywhere. And so I feel like I need to explain what a lingerie party is. But it's like when you get with your friends, those that are like in your wedding, your close friends, your girlfriends, it's just for girls. And they like buy you lingerie for your marriage. And so I was in this weird space of like, I just got saved. I like just started following the Lord, and I still had all my old friends. I didn't like just kick them to the curb, but then I still had these new belief systems. And so I had this lingerie party where everybody was supposed to bring me. We like had fun. We did all this stuff, but we were supposed to like
bring you some sexy lingerie.
Yes.
For your wedding night.
And so, I started opening some gifts, and I was like, what the heck is this? It was like old woman crap. I was like, is this what you think? Like, is this like, I'm getting married, but the only difference, like they knew what I did before. The only difference is that
now you're a Christian.
Now I'm a Christian. And they thought, oh, well, certainly you can't wear sexy lingerie.
Right. So that's why we're going to talk about here what's allowed in the marriage bedroom between husband and wife, what's not allowed.
Yeah.
How do you make sex fun? What can you bring in? What can't you bring in? Because as Christians, we shouldn't be prudes. We shouldn't be boring. Like I said, our sex life should be out of this world.
Well, I was talking to you about this the other day. Like the enemy tried everything in his power to get us to sleep together before we were married. And then once we get married, the enemy tries everything in his power to keep us from sleeping together or having sex. It's like this, now that we are supposed to do this thing, right? The right way, the enemy's like, nah, I'm going to slip in here and I'm going to like break it.
It's so true, because you see how many relationships that when you're sleeping together before marriage, it's multiple times a week. Then you get married, and because kids, work, busyness, whatever it is, it becomes maybe just multiple times a month.
Yeah.
Which is so hard.
I mean, even multiple times a year.
Jeez.
I've heard it.
All right. So we're going to talk about 5 things today. What is okay? Why do we feel uncomfortable trying new things?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that.
Yep.
Because this could be, even right now, this could be uncomfortable for people hearing, talking about.
And that's okay.
Yeah. Because some people, you've grown up in such a conservative lifestyle that you never learned that you need to actually talk about sex before sex.
Yeah.
You just think I just get in the bedroom and it's just missionary style, and then we're, wash my hands at this and we're done. Okay. So how do we talk about trying new things? We're going to talk about that. Like, are toys okay? Are videos okay?
Okay.
Are games okay? We're going to talk about that. What isn't okay from a biblical perspective? What is not okay?
Yeah.
And then also we're going to share with some people our favorite things.
Are you for real?
I mean, I have it written down. Here we go. All right. So let's just talk about what Christians want to know. They want to know what kind of sex they can have in the bedroom. So I'm going to ask you some. You just tell me yes or no.
Okay.
Okay. Oral sex.
Yes.
Yes. Toys.
Yes.
Toys are allowed in the bedroom. Okay. Anal.
Yes.
Yes. And speak to that, because some people right now, especially our Christian audience, will be like, hold on, there's sodomy in the Bible.
Yeah.
So how is it? So speak to that.
Yeah. So biblically, when they talked about like sodomy was forbidden that's, if you look at it and if you digest it, it is two men together. And so we're talking about one man and one woman. And if it is
consensual, which
yes.
goes to our next thing, because all those things that we just listed,
All
oral, toys, anal, all that has to go with, is it consensual?
Yeah, all of it. All of it needs to be birthed out of love.
Yes.
And being mutual.
Yes.
You both have to agree upon it.
Yes.
Together.
Yes. Because that's the whole point. Like intimacy, joy, and connection.
Yeah.
Is this going to bring us joy? Mm-hmm. Am I able to please you more? Are you able to please me more? Are we going to have a deeper connection physically? Because sex also, we know that it's not just physical, it's spiritual.
Right.
So that's this thing. If we get to a place where we are just trying to focus on the physical and making it very physical, and we're doing things that one another doesn't want, or we're bringing in things that shouldn't, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit, what can't come in, then you actually begin to break the marriage relationship.
Right.
So, okay. So so the answer is pretty much yes,
For those things.
Those things. Is there anything else that you're like, yes, lingerie?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you just talked about a lingerie party.
Yeah. I mean, I think we talked about that a little bit before another podcast too. Yep. It's like, yeah, absolutely.
What about for a guy? Like, do you want me to dress up like a firefighter or?
I mean, you should tell the story.
What, of Shannon?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So.
Well, it wasn't of Shannon.
No, it wasn't of Shannon. One of our pastor friends, he had a marriage, he has a marriage story of a couple that was at his church, and they like stuff like this.
Yeah.
Right? They're talking about it.
The
And
woman
just
dressing up.
Nope. He likes role play.
He wanted to dress up.
Yep. He wanted to be a superhero. And so, here's a good point to that. He tied her up like she was a damsel in distress. Are handcuffs okay in marriage or in the bedroom?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the difference between handcuffs and a tie?
Right.
Who cares? Yeah.
What about a blindfold?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And a cape, because this guy wore a cape. They were in agreement. So he tied up his wife, blindfolded her, has handcuffs on. He literally is dressed up like, I don't know, Superman, Batman. I don't know who he wanted to be.
Cape.
He had a cape on. I know that. He gets on top of the dresser, jumps off the dresser saying, I'm going to rescue you. Didn't realize how high the dresser was and how low the ceiling fan was. Hit his head on the ceiling fan, fell back and knocked himself out unconscious. And his wife is tied up naked on the bed, and she can't even see what happened.
No.
So she's just like,
hello?
Honey?
You okay?
Honey? And so she ends up just having to be yelling as loud as she can until a neighbor comes in, and she's yelling help, right? So
the
neighbor comes
had
in.
To call the fire department.
Yes.
The police.
And they show up, and he's unconscious on the floor with a red cape on, and she's tied up in the bed. So even as we're saying what's okay to do,
I mean, be careful. You better be careful.
You got to be careful. You got to know the height of your ceiling. If you're planning on jumping off, if she's tied up, can she reach a key? So even with that, like that can make somebody uncomfortable of, hold on, you want to put on a red cape right now and you want to tie me up. And so the question is like, why do you feel uncomfortable trying new things?
Well, I think in general, everybody's uncomfortable trying new things.
Right.
No matter what you do, you're uncomfortable trying new things. This is just another deep thing. But when you just spring it on somebody, when it's that deep of intimacy, it's uncomfortable.
So what is your suggestion?
My suggestion to that is, because of my past and because of the things that, maybe whoever is listening has dealt with, we all have a past. It's like, you have to know within yourself, like you have to be okay with it with yourself. Do you trust your spouse, right? Are you comfortable like being vulnerable with them? Like those are the kinds of things. And if the answer is yes, you're not in your past any longer. You're with your safe spouse. And it's okay to be vulnerable and feel a little silly in the beginning, right? You'll get comfortable.
Yeah. And it's just like what we said earlier. It's the conversation beforehand. So look at this. So a study in the Journal of Sex and Marital Therapy, not miracle therapy, marital therapy.
I wish it was a miracle.
Yeah. Highlight that couples who communicate openly about their sexual desires, preferences, and concerns tend to have more satisfying sex lives and higher levels of marital satisfaction.
Yeah.
Communication matters.
Yeah.
Not just communication of like us fighting, us the disagreement, communicating of what school the kids are going to go to, communicating of the date night. Communication about sex matters.
Yeah.
But people don't know how to talk about it.
Here's what I'll say too about this. This is like something literally as you're talking, I feel like this is how it has come to be with me. So, like I've said, and for everybody out there, you've had things happen in your past. And so we talk about it in the church world. You know, if you got hurt in church, guess where you're not going to get healed from church? In a Walmart. Like you're going to get healed probably where that hurt happened. And so if something happened in that area, you know, stepping out in faith again, building trust again with your husband, walking that thing out, your husband respecting your boundaries, knowing that it's a sensitive thing. I feel like that's been like the tension that we've walked through to get us to where we are today.
Yeah. Another study from the archives of sexual behavior. There's archives of sexual behavior. Yeah, it goes way back.
Interesting.
Found that sexual communication positively affects both sexual satisfaction and relationship satisfaction, emphasizing the importance of talking about sex within marriage. But most couples don't know or don't do new things because they don't talk about new things. So again, you might want to do something new, but you haven't talked about that new thing you want to do.
I have a question for you.
Oh, please.
Because you're the creative mastermind about most everything in our relationship. I'm just like,
Along for the ride.
I'm here for it. And so as a Christian man, how do you do that? How do you search out things without being inappropriate on the internet?
Yes.
How do you do that?
Because there are so many sites that you can begin to look at.
Right.
And
it's a slippery slope.
Especially if you're a man that has struggled with pornography before. And because it could be, you're just looking at lingerie. So there's a site called Covenant Spice. And actually, I'm going to put the link below. So Covenant Spice has those things that you're looking for. So it could be lingerie. It can be toys.
Okay.
It can be dice. You know, because there's cool dice out there that you roll the dice and exactly, it's fun games and tells you what to do, you know, like lick her ear, you know, whatever it is.
Thank you for being appropriate.
You're welcome. Now we are talking about sex, so I don't know why I have to be that appropriate.
That was PG though. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. But using sites like that aren't going to lead you into lust, into a slippery slope. So even lingerie that they have on there, they don't have women wearing it. Okay. Because I've looked up lingerie for you before on Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the women wearing it, right?
And it's the women that I don't look like.
It's the women that we should not be looking at,
I had 3 kids. I don't look like that.
Oh. Okay, so if somebody goes to one of those sites, how do they engage with their spouse to say, hey, I want to try a toy or a vibrator or lingerie or a game?
I mean, you have to know your spouse. So like for me, I trust you enough to be like this, honestly, like men, this goes a little deep because if your wife doesn't know that you have now this like website that's not pornographic, right?
Yep.
That you're looking at things and your mind's running and you're trying to be creative. And you bring her, hey, babe, I've been looking. She's going to be like, well, what have you been looking at? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And so what I would say is, one, either have that website like ready to go and say, no, this is what I've been looking at.
Yep.
Or just ask prior. Hey, I was thinking about some things I heard in a podcast or whatever. You know, do you want to look at some things with me? Like look together so that it's not secretive.
Yes.
It's not, and maybe after that, you know, you guys can like look separate because we've surprised each other with things and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But you have to, like we've talked about, it's got to be consensual. So maybe you do it together. But I would just say like as a woman, and if there's ever been like any sort of infidelity or whatever in the past, present, whatever, that you have to make sure that you communicate things properly.
Yeah.
Because it's about the heart, it's about love, it's about the joy, like in the connection, and you might do the opposite if you're putting your wagon ahead of the horse.
Right, great point. Because before I've sent you a link and said, "Do you want to try this?"
Right.
And there's been times where you're like, "Nope."
Yeah.
And then your times like, "Yeah, let's try that."
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to actually have that conversation and communicate those things.
Yeah. And I'll say this, like if you don't like it, you don't like it. Like you don't know until you know.
Yep.
Like, and I've just gotten to that point where I'm like, you haven't been offended. I'm like, no, I don't really like that one.
No.
Or I don't really like that thing or whatever. It doesn't necessarily have to be a toy. It could be anything.
Yeah.
Like whatever it is.
Lingerie that you're wearing. You're like, I don't really like that.
Oh yeah. I've said that. I'm like, oh, I do not feel like anything in this. So it is what it is. And you just move on.
Yep. So you might not know what to ask your spouse sexually, because I remember one time we were literally waiting for our kids to get out of school, and I started just asking you questions like this about sex, and it got me excited. And I don't know if it got you excited or not, but I have to look up questions because, again, it's like, how do I ask my wife these intimate questions about making love that aren't weird?
Yeah.
And so we're going to give our audience some of these questions right now that you can go on a date and you can ask your spouse these questions.
Yeah.
So what's question number 1? You read it.
Okay. In what ways do you show me that you are initiating sex? Give me details.
Okay. So for me, I'm always initiating sex. It feels like
you always are.
I am. So
we have little things that we like.
Yes, we do.
Like little, because we've got kids. It's not like we can be like super like open about certain things. And so we'll put like something on the door or I want to specify like that's like you like do it in the morning.
Yes.
It's like we're starting the conversation early in the morning. It's not like we're laying in bed and you go get a towel and you throw it over the mirror.
Right. Well, I mean, because it's, again, we've said this before, men are like microwaves, women are like crock pots. So as men, we have to understand, I got to start this early in the morning and begin to initiate. How am I serving you? Am I making you coffee? Am I writing you notes? Am I giving you hugs, right? That's one thing. You want to be hugged, a long, deep hug. Am I rubbing your feet? Am I actually, though, sharing with you like, hey, tonight, I want to have sex.
Yeah.
You know, like it can be as blunt as that, because I've told you before, I was like, hey, like this is what I'm thinking tonight. How are you feeling? Because I don't want to get my mind there and you're not there, because then I mean, as a man, it's like a letdown.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's healthy to have these conversations and to know. So, okay. So what about you? Like, in what ways do you show me that you're initiating sex?
I drink coffee.
That's
at
it.
11
I was going to say that's it. 100%.
I am super sensitive to caffeine, and so I'm like, okay, I have to physically prepare myself, and I drink a coffee at like 11.
When I see that coffee cup in your hand at 11 a.m., I was like, it's going to be a good night.
Cheers.
Yep. Give you a high five, bump chest, spike a football. I don't know.
No.
Okay. So here's another question that you can ask your spouse. Okay. Ask your husband, ask your wife.
We're going to run through these questions, right? We're not
going to talk about it. No, we're just running through these. Listen, what happens in your bedroom is between you and your spouse. There's things that we're just not going to share with you because it's between you and I.
Right.
There's things that you can take from this and you just talk to them about.
Yeah.
So there's things we're not going to share with you because it's between Krissy and I. So this is just things that's like, hey, maybe you want to try this. We're not even saying do it our way.
No.
You know, like, because everybody's different. Okay, so here's the questions. Tell me about the touches that make you have an orgasm. That's a question. Number 3, is there a secret fantasy or desire you've been hesitant to share with me? I want to be a superhero. I want to jump off the dresser. Okay, where are 2 places you would like to make love outside of our bedroom? We've done that one before. Not like actually have done it. We've had that conversation. Would you like to try a vibrator or another toy? How many times a week would you like to have sex? Which goes back to what we shared before in a podcast of that one of the ways that you keep your sex life healthy and exciting is you schedule it.
Yeah.
You have the conversation of how many times should we actually be doing this? Okay. What is it about oral sex that brings you pleasure? That's another question. So again, these are questions you can have when you're driving, when you're at dinner, not with your family.
Text messages.
Yes. And then another one, which sex positions would you like to try the next time that we have sex? And matter of fact, I'm going to put a link below. I don't have the cards on me. We got these cards it's a deck of cards, and you just shuffle them and you pull one out. and it's a different position. And I mean, I think they're like $12, you know,
Yeah.
I don't know what it was. So I'm going to put the link in the below. I didn't even know there was that many positions when I looked at that deck of cards.
That is a full deck of cards.
It's a full deck of cards.
I was very impressed.
Yeah. But so those, and again, that deck of cards is from a Christian website.
Yeah.
So
So it's totally appropriate.
Yes.
It's not stick figures, but it's like not people.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if you look on Amazon, if you're like, oh, I don't need your link, I'm going to get on Amazon. Amazon has cards that are inappropriate.
Yeah.
So those are the things, like, that's where it's like searching out, like, again, because Christians should be having fun having sex.
Yeah.
But I also want to guard my eyes.
Right,
I want to guard my
absolutely.
heart. I don't want to slip into lust.
Yeah.
Because the reason that I'm looking for stuff is to
me.
bond with you. Exactly. Okay. So those are questions that people can ask each other
Okay.
to go more deep intimately. Okay, so if toys and games and oral sex are okay in the bedroom, what is not allowed in the bedroom for a Christian married couple?
Other people. Physically. You can't bring other people physically into the bedroom.
Makes sense.
And digitally. You can't bring in other people digitally.
When you say digitally, you're talking about porn.
Yes.
Why is that not okay?
Do I really need to answer that?
Well, I think there's some people that actually might think that's where I'm going to get creative ideas.
Yeah, I mean, so in 1 Corinthians 6:16, it says, there's more to sex than mere skin to skin. Sex is as much spiritual mystery as physical fact. As written in Scripture, two become one. Two become one. Not three become one. Four become one. Two become one.
So polygamy is off.
Polygamy is off.
What about a throuple?
What's a throuple?
You don't know what a throuple is? A throuple are those crazy people that say, we're not a couple, we're a throuple.
Like 3 of them are...
Yeah. So it's like one dude and 2 chicks, and they're like, we're a throuple. We love each other, and we struggle with...
no.
Oh, it's the stupidest thing.
No,
Christians.
no,
There's no throuples.
no,
All right?
no,
No throuples.
no,
No polygamy.
no.
2 become one. That's what it is. That's a great answer. And so here's some stats that I want to share with you guys when it comes to pornography in the bedroom, because some of you might think, well, this is how we're going to get creative.
What's the harm in that?
Right. What's the harm? Okay. So the Journal of Marriage and Family found that both individual and joint porn use is associated with lower relationship satisfaction. You will actually have a lower satisfaction in your relationship. Let's see. Couples who watch porn together develop unrealistic expectations about sex, which leads to dissatisfaction with their real life sex life. Because you're watching a movie.
Right.
It's not real.
Right.
It's the Avengers.
No movie is real life.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's fake.
Yeah.
Those are actors. They're getting paid. It takes hours of filming,
Right.
hours of editing. And most of those people, I mean, struggle with a history of abuse, and they just really struggle in their lives. And so when you think that, oh, we're going to get good ideas, that's why, again, the cards are such a good way to say, hey, here's how I'm going to get ideas. I'm not going to watch what other people do.
Right.
You know?
Yep.
Okay. So porn can shift the focus from emotional connection to purely physical pleasure. And that's like what you just read in 1 Corinthians. It's not just physical. If it was physical, then if somebody is sexually abused, it wouldn't be a big deal. It's like breaking your leg. Get over it.
Get over it.
But it is a big deal because it's spiritual.
Right.
And so when you are looking and bringing somebody in, again, digitally or in person, you are breaking what God has created between a husband and a wife.
Right.
Another reason that you should not watch porn together, it can lead to addiction.
We're separate.
Touche. It can lead to addiction for one or both partners. Another thing, erosion of trust.
Yeah.
It can break erosion of trust. Even if both partners initially agree to watch it, it can lead to feelings of jealousy, insecurity, and betrayal.
Absolutely. I can see that.
Yeah. Well, because, and we've talked about this before with couples that we've done marriage coaching with, is that when a guy gets caught looking at porn, he's not comparing that porn to his wife or to his girlfriend or spouse or whatever. He's just trying to get off because he's not man enough to take time and warm up his wife, right? But she is comparing herself to that woman.
Absolutely.
She's comparing herself to the physical woman, the digital woman, the image online, all the different things, which again, it And then it takes time to build that trust back up.
Right. Well, I just think we see it all the time when somebody cheats. Honestly, emotional cheating is worse sometimes than physical cheating, but then you put it together, it's just, there are deep things within women that even if, like you said, even if it is agreed upon, that I'm telling you right now, it's not going to end good.
No.
It's just not.
It's not.
It's going to slowly pull away
Yep.
at her confidence in herself, confidence in what you're doing together, all of that.
Yep. So it's a no-no.
No.
Another thing, the Journal of Sexual Medicine has shown that porn use can be linked to sexual dysfunction, such as erectile dysfunction and decreased libido. These issues can affect the couple's sexual relationship and lead to further dissatisfaction and frustration.
Yeah.
So we know you can't bring in other people, you can't bring in things digitally. So if people want to try these things, or maybe they've been doing these things, one of the best ways to say, hey, that's not allowed in the bedroom is obviously what we just shared. But two, and we've been sharing on this already, the open communication. If you're already having issues with this, a way to fix it is couples therapy.
Absolutely.
We have a counselor. She's amazing. Mm-hmm. The third thing, and this doesn't get talked about at all in marriage, in premarital counseling, on podcasts, but it's actually intimacy exercises. It's like when you go to the gym and you sign up for the first time, you're like, what am I supposed to do here? It can be very overwhelming.
Yeah.
That can be marriage.
Yeah.
Just because you dated somebody for so long doesn't mean that now you know how to be married to them.
Yeah.
There needs to be intimacy exercises. And the question is, how do we actually do that? All right. So we're going to run through some intimacy exercises right now for people. Okay. This is super simple. Okay. And we're going to run through these so you guys can try them. Okay.
Okay.
1, prioritize your relationship. That is an exercise. Again, that goes with 1, date nights. Mm-hmm. People do not prioritize date nights. No. You used to date your spouse to marry them, right? That's what led to. But now that you're married, you don't go on dates. Mm-hmm. And I know the excuses. You don't have a babysitter. Well, what have we done so many times?
Oh, yeah. We've put the kids to bed. We've had dinners and date nights in front of the fireplace.
Yep.
And you can get super creative. We've had movie nights and... Yeah.
Yep.
Put your kids to bed.
100%. Put them to bed. The second thing, unplug. This matters so much with prioritizing your relationship.
Yeah.
Getting off the phone, looking each other in the eyes. That's something I've noticed like we do at night, like after watching 100 reels and laughing together.
It's funny.
It is funny. But then putting the phone down and just like rolling over and gazing into each other's eyes.
That sounded like super dramatic.
It feels super dramatic sometimes.
Gaze into each other's eyes. Stop.
No. Okay. So that's one way to do the intimacy exercise is prioritizing your relationship.
Yeah.
Another one is communicate openly. Mm-hmm. This is daily check-ins. So many people do not do daily check-ins. Mm-hmm.
I think we've done a podcast. This is like a really old podcast, but I remember like it's like 30 minutes a day that you talk to each other.
Yep.
And then it's like so many, like basically a date night.
Yep.
That you need to check in.
Yep.
I think it even might be like 10 minutes a day. And then it's like the weekly date night.
Yep.
And then it's like, the weekend getaways and then the week vacations once a year.
Yep.
And so that all of those things matter.
Yes.
But your daily check-ins, it really isn't a lot.
It's not. Something else for those exercises is active listening.
Yeah.
That takes a lot. Because
but
especially
it goes back to being unplugged.
Yes.
It's not I'm on my phone and listening to you and you're like, uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Mocking me. Like actively listening.
Engaging in the conversation.
Right. Responding.
Yes.
Including ideas.
Yes.
All of that.
Another thing, spiritual connection. I just actually texted somebody this morning and just said, hey, I think something you need to start doing with your wife is praying with her every night together.
Yeah.
I was like, even with 1 minute prayer.
Yeah.
There's a connection there. Mm-hmm. That's a workout.
Yeah.
That's an exercise right there. That's how you're going to get stronger together. Mm-hmm. The same thing, going to church together.
Oh, absolutely.
That matters so much. Mm-hmm. Listen, and if you're watching and listening and you go to different churches, one of you, you need to sacrifice to go to the same church.
It is. Church is not about preference.
Right.
It is
Say
not about
that again.
It is not about our personal preference. You pray together. You figure out which church, not based on preference, personally, what is going to fill you.
Yep.
What community do you want to be a part of, and give it your all.
Yep.
Your preferences will change. Get over it.
Well, and this is the thing too, because marriage is a sacrifice.
Absolutely.
When we're trying to find a church to go and worship Jesus, who sacrificed it all, right? If we're trying to be more like him, and he said, pick up your cross and follow me daily. Some of you men, your cross is picking up that you're not going to go to the church that you want to go to. Instead, you're going to go with your wife, or vice versa, that it's the wife.
Yeah. No,
Like-
I'd say this, like, men, just man up. Take your wife to church.
Yeah.
Just take her to church.
Yep.
Don't wait for her to bring it up.
Be committed.
Be committed. Get up Sunday morning, get your kids up, get your wife up, go to church.
Yeah. Because if you want your kids to be committed to God, they aren't going to be more committed than you are.
Absolutely not.
It's just like think about this, man. When you are a fan of whatever team, I'm a Bears fan, I'm a Notre Dame fan. Guess what my kids are fans of?
Right.
The same thing, but not as much as I am. But the more and the longer they're with me and around it, the more they will be, that fandom will become theirs.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the relationship with Jesus.
Absolutely.
That right now they go to our church because, I mean,
They have fun and
Right.
they're friends and
exactly. But the more that they go, that they're no longer, it's no longer my parents' God. It becomes their God. Jesus becomes their God.
Yeah.
But I can't think like, oh, you know what? I'm just not going to go and they're going to fall in love with Jesus. No, come on, dude.
yeah.
Grow up, Peter Pan. Okay. Next one, physical affection. So let's talk about non-sexual touch.
Yeah.
Because this is like what I know you love. You love a good hug. You love holding hands, the occasional cuddle when we're laying in bed and you just want a spoon. And
Good old foot rub.
definitely a good old foot rub, rubbing your calves. Like that's what you like, non-sexual. Now for me,
All of that is sexual to you.
100%. 100% it is. And for us guys, it is hard to touch our wife, our spouses, and not want to go further because like your skin is so soft. Like it's like, oh, you know what? I just went to the store and bought some ice cream and now I'm just going to put it in the freezer. No, I want to eat that. You know what I mean? Like there's a reason that I went to the store. But going back to it, I'm trying not to be selfish,
Yeah.
right? Because again, we have different sex drives. And that's the same thing with people listening and watching. You have different sex drives. So you need to get into that place of having non-sexual touch for your spouse,
Yep.
physical affection. That's an exercise you have to practice. That's what exercise is, right?
Yeah.
To get stronger in something, you have to do it over and over and over repeatedly.
Right.
Repeatedly? Repetition.
Keep going.
Redundant.
Yep.
Yeah. Create a habit. Anyways, and then there is the sexual intimacy, which we've been talking about,
Yeah.
but we're not going to jump into that anymore. Emotional support. That's an exercise.
Yeah.
Actually being there for each other emotionally, expressing gratitude to each other. That's why we'll put a link below. But that's why we have our sticky notes that in the morning, we just write what we love about each other and we put on our coffee. You know, it's just those little gratitudes. It's something so small. I love your hugs. I love the way that you love Jesus. I
Yeah.
love the way you take care of our kids. I love kissing you. It's so easy.
It's so easy.
It's so easy. And just like, but so many times we don't express what we love about our spouse to our spouse.
Yeah.
We might tell someone else, oh, I love Krissy. She's so good at listening and she just hears me. When I'm stressed out, she doesn't think like, oh man, he's about to lose it. Like she's there to comfort me.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, I need to let my wife know that.
Yeah.
That gratitude matters. That's an exercise. This is not just going to come normal. Going to the gym and bench pressing does not feel normal, right? It's an exercise.
not comfortable.
It's not comfortable. I have to
Right.
try it.
Yeah.
Be supportive. We have to be supported emotionally. And this is why, like we've had the conversation before, if there's ever a time that you feel like we need to go to our counselor, let's do it. I'm in. And vice versa. It's not like, no, we'll get through this. I don't think it's a big deal. No, it's not that, like,
Yeah.
it's like, no, I want to support you emotionally.
If one of us feels it, we go.
come on,
Yeah.
that's it.
Oh, I like number 6.
All right, you do it.
Shared activities.
Let's go.
There's things that listen, my husband loves movies. Do I love movies?
Yes, you do.
No, I don't. I literally will ask him, have we seen this movie? You're like, yeah, I remember we were in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I'm like, what? I don't remember none of that. He knows where he saw every movie.
Which is weird.
It is weird.
It is. It's like, why can't I remember other things that well?
Because you love it so much.
I love it so
And
much.
so there are things that I know that my husband loves. He will talk to me about the producers, the directors, and I'm like,
All the important things that you
All
should
the-
know. I know
yeah.
you care about that stuff.
and so I listen. I am a part of what he loves. And so, but then we actually have activities that we love to do together. We went hiking the other day.
Yep.
We almost died.
Oh my gosh.
But
it
we
was
were going to die
killer.
together.
We were. I told her, I was like, if I pass out, just put me under a tree. She's like, there are no trees.
There's no shade. We went at noon. That was the dumbest idea.
Yeah, we were sweating. It was nasty.
But having hobbies together, we like to exercise together.
Yeah, we go to the gym together.
We go to the gym together. We like
go
to
hiking
eat
together. We go biking together. We like going and trying different restaurants together.
Yeah, and so find something that you like together. And even if your spouse likes something like the movies, just maybe you'll like it too.
Yeah. Or even like thinking, I don't remember since us dating a time where you don't sacrifice and watch like Notre Dame football with me, you know? And it's like, it's not like it's like you love it, you know, like well, you're into it, you'll watch and stuff, but it's like you have other stuff you could be doing, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like, but again, you just sacrifice like, no, my husband likes this. I'm going to do this with him. Mm-hmm. And so again, I appreciate that about you.
You're welcome.
Thanks for loving me so well.
You're welcome. Number 7.
Okay. Learn each other's love language. Guys, if you don't know your spouse's love language, you're going to struggle loving your spouse.
Yeah, that's probably why you're super frustrated.
Yep.
I'm doing all this stuff for her. Why is she still mad and angry? It's because you're loving her the wrong way. And that sounds weird.
Right.
But we all have probably whatever you're naturally giving is what your love language is. And so if you're naturally like helping her, you probably like help as the acts of service as your love language. And so I don't even remember the author of that book. Super easy book. You can take the quiz, 5 love languages, and you can just figure it out. I'm telling you, it's a game changer because when you put all of your effort into that one thing, it's going to make a huge difference. Instead of trying to like do all of this stuff, you're going to really put your investment where it belongs.
Yeah. What are the 5 love languages?
The 5 love languages are physical touch, words of affirmation, quality time, gifts, and acts of service.
Dr. Gary Chapman.
Yeah, that was it. And so you could read the whole book. It's really great. You could take the test and just read part of the book, but it's so helpful.
For sure it is.
You know, it's not like
I think there's actually a free test you can take online.
Probably.
To actually know what your love language is and your spouse's. And then something else that we always talk to people about, again, an exercise to put in place is a marriage checkup.
Yeah, that's
like,
really good.
Hey, like how am I doing actually meeting your need for your love language? Mm-hmm. You know, how's your love tank? You know, like, do you feel like I'm giving you words of affirmation?
Yeah.
Okay, the next one, healthy conflict, healthy communication. And we've done a whole sermon series on this, but emotionally healthy relationships. And that most people, when there's an offense, there's bitterness, something comes up, they brush it under the rug. And the problem is that rug gets piled up and then somebody trips up and somebody blows up.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, hey, what you said, I know you didn't mean to hurt me. I know you weren't trying to offend me. I know you weren't trying to, but the way that I heard it, it made me feel.
Yeah.
You know, and just having that open conversation.
Yeah.
So then you like, man, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to make you feel like that. Like, I love you, right? Like, and that's the thing too. We tell people this all the time. When you have the conversation with your spouse, you have to remember when it's conflict, okay? If I'm going in to have a conversation with Krissy, if you're going in to have a conversation with me, the mindset is I love her and she loves me. I want the best for her and she wants the best for me. Mm-hmm. When I have that mindset, I'm not trying to come and attack you.
Yeah.
And I believe that you're not trying to come and attack me because we said it earlier, 2 become 1.
Yeah.
And if we're trying to attack each other, I'm attacking myself.
Yeah. Well, we also have our free PDF too about the 3 T's of communication.
Yeah.
It's super important. It's super easy, but it's the 3 T's. So go get your free PDF and read through that.
Yeah, I'm going to put that link in the bio so you can definitely get that too. And also, if this stuff is helping you, give a thumbs up right now. Go ahead and hit that like button.
Yeah. And then conflict resolution, forgiveness, man. We just RSVP'd to a wedding the other day and it was like, what's like some advice you want to give to the couple? And literally the first thing I thought of was like, forgive fast.
Yes.
Like, don't be so easily offended. You know, I think that's a life motto, but specifically in your marriage.
Yes. Like,
you're both trying to figure it out. You're not being intentional about certain things. Forgive fast, talk about it, and move forward.
Well, one of the things that even I was praying about, thinking about today was that like to forgive fast, sometimes we need to fast.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I need to think when I fast, I'm saying this isn't about me. Again, I'm dying to myself. And so sometimes people are holding on to such bitterness and anger towards their spouse because they're making it about them.
Right.
Instead of saying, no, what Jesus did for me on the cross, when I think of communion, when I think of the body that was broken, the blood that was shed, and he forgave me, my spouse hasn't done worse to me than I've done to Jesus.
Right.
Surely I can forgive them.
Right.
And sometimes it is you again, we have to bring in that spiritual element of I'm going to fast for my spouse, I'm going to fast for myself to forgive my spouse,
Right. And it's not ignoring, it's having healthy conversations.
Right.
It's talking through things. It's not like you said, pushing things under the rug. That's not what forgiveness is. And so it takes a lot of work, but I tell you what, you put in the work on the front end, it will get easier.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like we had some hard stuff going on in the beginning of our marriage, but I feel like we forgive each other really fast now.
Definitely.
I'm able to just be blunt with you and be like, hey, like you said this and I didn't like it.
Right.
And we just talk it through and, you explain, I didn't mean it. That's not what I meant.
Yep.
And it's really just a basic misunderstanding.
Yeah. So those are exercises that you can put in place to grow that intimacy in your marriage. Okay, so far we have dove into what's okay, right? Why do we feel uncomfortable trying new things, having those conversations? How do we talk about those new things? What isn't okay? Now, here's something else, and then we just talked about like exercise to put in place to be more intimate.
Yeah.
Here's another thing that I found. Social, psychological, and personality science published this. They indicated that couples who have sex at least once a week or more are likely to report higher levels of happiness, marital satisfaction compared to those who have sex less frequently. Now, this goes back to what we talked about last week, and that's about actually scheduling sex. And we actually talked about 4 things that every Christian couple should know to have a great love life. So I'm going to put that link right here. You can click it right here to make sure that you go and you can work on that today. And it starts with this, scheduling it.
Yeah.
But there's 3 other things you're going to want to make sure you hit that button now to see it. And we'll see you on the next video.